I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. April 7th school board meeting. We'll start off. We have some visitors to speak at the public forum. We have 3 speakers tonight. We have Dr. Shannon Esther Petty. We have Samantha Stoller and Connor Warnke will be speaking together, and then we have Richard Petty, and it'll be in that order. So Dr. Petty, you want to step forward? You can be first. And just real quick, you'll have 5 minutes, or you want to be the timekeeper, or you'll give you a wait when you have 1 minute left. No personal attacks, matters that are currently under negotiations, litigation, or related to personnel will not be discussed. And of course, the board may ask questions or clarify or choose not to. All right.
Great.
All yours.
All right. Good evening again. I'm Dr. Shannon Estler Petty. You all have hopefully read the 32-page letter that was submitted last fall from multiple families, along with the stories shared by past and present players for the girls basketball program. Some parents and players have met with the Superintendent Schmidt, others with the AD, and some with the coaches. I appreciate the time many of you have given to listen, and for those I've spoken with personally, thank you. I'm here tonight to continue advocating for the young women who have shared their experiences in our girls basketball program. I'm a parent, an educator, and an athlete. I've taught K-12, served as a university professor, and I've earned my doctorate in education. I've coached young female athletes from T-ball through high school, always working to create an environment where every girl felt safe, valued, and left the team more confident than when she started, because in the end, relationships matter. I've competed in sports at the high school, collegiate, and professional levels, and I've had coaches who have changed my life by building meaningful relationships and helping me grow. Today, I work for a company that focuses on building positive relationships in schools for all students. Every student and athlete deserves to feel safe, loved, confident, and valued. According to the Becker District's mission, we believe it is our responsibility of every school to provide a respectful, physically and emotionally safe and secure learning environment for everyone. This includes our athletes. Dylan's Hope, a local organization here in Becker, also emphasizes the importance of mental health to open up lines of communication between young people and adults so that this tragedy does not happen in other youth and their families. So I ask you to listen without defensiveness. Ask yourselves, do I know why so many girls have left our basketball program? When we open enrolled our daughter 2 years ago, now 3, we were excited. The first parent-player meeting was full of eager young athletes and the program appeared to be thriving. But over the past 3 years, we've watched countless girls walk away. As an educator, I needed to understand why, and that's why I began collecting stories a year ago. And what I've heard is why I'm here. Yes, there are positive stories. Of course there are. But if we value the positive feedback, we must also give serious weight to the very different experiences many others have reported. The number of girls participating in the program has declined significantly, and the stories that have been shared have helped explain why. This year, our team should have been led by a strong group of seniors who have dedicated years to this program. Instead, we were not. High school is a formative time. Sports should build resilience, confidence, and self-discipline for all girls. It should be hard. Coaches play a pivotal role in shaping these experiences. A supportive coach builds athletes up. A negative or dismissive approach can do lasting harm, especially to mental health, and it should not be hard in this way. For many athletes, sports are central to their identity. The coach-athlete relationship must be built on trust and respect. Coaches hold tremendous power and influence. When that power is misused, athletes feel silenced, powerless, or forced to quit, a loss that extends far beyond the court. It robs them of their community, confidence, and self-worth. A toxic culture can have long-term effects on physical health, mental well-being, and a girl's love for the game. While physical bruises may fade, emotional scars can last a lifetime. It's time for our district, school board, parents, and athletic programs to recognize and address emotional harm. We must ensure that all athletes are given the opportunity to grow in a supportive and positive environment. Please keep asking questions. Don't assume this issue is being handled. Many voices still feel unheard. Mental health matters, and it should matter to you too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Up next, we have Samantha Stoller and Connor Warnke. Again, reminder, 5 minutes. Mr. Stanger will be the one to give you a 1-minute warning.
Hi, my name is Samantha Stoller. I'm a sophomore.
I'm Connor Warnke. I'm a junior.
We came to speak today to address the issue regarding our educators and how their needs are responded to.
This is not an intended attack, just a series of concerns we have for the future of the Becker School District. Numerous educators are leaving this year, whether it be for retirement or due to the personal reasons, but administrations has decided not to replace several of them.
As a result of this decision, class numbers will increase drastically, averaging about 33 to 35 students per class. That may not sound like a lot, but a majority of the teachers in our school don't even have enough desks to seat this many students. This decision will harm both students and teachers alike. From a compiled research project by the National Institute of Health published late February of last year, class sizes over 27 students were linked to nonlinearity and unpredictability in school readiness. When we mention this issue, it ties into the fact that larger class sizes negatively impact the students' academic performance. Smaller class sizes allow educators to tailor education to allocate for all students' requirements and concerns. This includes specific strategies, different learning modalities, creating dynamic and interesting learning environments, and providing one-on-one time with each student. Additionally, from the educator's perspective, choosing not to rehire who teaches core classes puts more of those required classes onto another teacher. This creates a heavier workload for them.
To put the educator's perspective further, from Indeed.com, at Big Lake High School, a school 15 minutes away from us, teachers make an average salary of around $56,000 per year, while the average annual salary at Becker is only around $48,000. That is almost a $10,000 difference between two wages of schools not even a half an hour away from each other with similar classes and school sizes. From the National Association of Colleges and Employers, the average projected starting salary for the class of 2025 at the bachelor's degree level for all degrees is $68,000. Our current average annual salary is $20,000 less than what the current college graduates are expected to make in any field. This is not a sustainable wage for our teachers and does not provide them with a purpose to continue working.
When this issue was addressed, an alternative of eliminating electives to bring down class sizes in core subject areas was suggested. However, this takes away the opportunity for unique classes adjusted to certain career paths students may want to pursue. Without a chance to learn about different subjects outside of the required curriculum, students won't be able to explore different subjects and decide their futures.
Furthermore, coming across qualified teachers has seemed a difficult task when concerning how large our class sizes are and how poor the pay is in comparison to surrounding schools. Although when administrators do hire qualified teachers, such as Mr. Nelson, who was qualified and constructive science teacher, they don't pay them the amount they are worth. Mr. Nelson came out of retirement to teach forensics since our school could not find a replacement for Miss Midas, who taught it before. The school promised him a certain amount and failed to keep that promise, leaving the students without a primary educator. This caused other educators to take on even more classes. Mr. Egbert and Dr. Olson are now having to swap in and out of teaching forensics because the school is incapable of finding qualified teachers and paying them what they're worth. If you want to keep gaining qualified teachers, you have to compensate for teachers to want to come and stay at Becker, especially with the current teacher shortage. This just shows us what years to come may look like with the mistreatment of our educators.
Administration has made poor decisions, and students and teachers will suffer because of it. Why would they not rehire? Why would they make a situation where either decision will result in harming their students? Isn't a school meant to educate and prioritize its students? The only answer to be found is that they are aiming to save money or allocate it to alternative things. This may be a reasonable decision on their part, unless we focus on the fact that $42,000 have been split between 3 positions, superintendent, HR director, and the business officer. When a salary compensation was done on our educators, they gave them a slight salary increase, but with the increase in costs and insurance, that increase is amounting to nothing. Our teachers are severely underpaid, making thousands of dollars less than they did a few years ago, while our administrators are being given bonuses while they're already comfortable in their current salary.
The fact that these decisions were even put on the table is troubling. Teachers continually strive to advocate for students and their education, while administrators put teachers in situations where their stability is on the line. There will be more teachers resigning, and students will lose a purpose when they cannot give proper education. What assurance is there that we can expect a quality education in the future years? We want respected educators, we want our promised unique electives, and we want thoughtful feedback. Without these things, there's no way students can thrive in our school.
Tomorrow, the students will be wearing teal and shades of blue in protest against the administration continuously sacrificing our education for their own personal gain and to bring awareness to teachers' pay. We thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can I
Thank
just
you.
ask a quick question? You compared us to Big Lake. Did you do a comparison on longevity of teachers in the two districts and the education of both districts?
I looked at undo.com and a lot of the statistics are similar to like things long term. So I guess just from that source, yes.
Based off of that source alone, that is the information that we found. But if there's another source that says otherwise, we did not find it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right,
Want to clarify anything though?
well, I would like to speak to the fact about the pay. We've done the numerous studies. We're gonna meet about it again tonight about negotiations, but Jeremy has done extensive research on comparing all of our staff's pay to the districts around us, not only in our conference, but those we touch. And we found we're very comparable. In fact, we're higher in most areas and our benefits package is better than most surrounding areas. So,
Well, and just to kind of clarify, I know $48,000 for the average pay for Becker staff is actually $223 above our starting pay. So I don't know where that number came from Indeed, but that's inaccurate. Unless we have all brand new teachers, that number wouldn't be able to be that low.
Right. Like a second year teacher on BA level, starting would be $48,564.
Yeah.
So I think we have a wide variety of more veteran teachers new to our staff.
And I think this last year, we also removed the lowest level so that new teachers get more than what they did. We completely removed the level to help out and bring in new teachers.
I do appreciate that, and it actually times out well, because I every year at this time, in my superintendent report, you'll be able to elaborate on some of this stuff, and it's not something because I didn't know what you were talking about, what your topic was, but when I release this, but every year at this time, I talk about just looking at school district as a whole and how we can be efficient and do good things for the kids. So I'll actually have some elaboration on some of those things as well. So that's good. Thank you so much, and nice job.
yeah, it takes a lot to
very
get in
good.
front of us and speak, so good job, you two. Mr. Petty, you're next. Again, 5 minutes. Mr. Stang will give you a 1 minute notification there.
Thank you, board, for giving me the time to speak. My name is Richard Petty. I would have followed Shannon. It'd make a little more sense, but I'm obviously on the outside, on the third one in. It says in relation somewhat to what Shannon's talking about, but more in a process situation, not substantial, not the specifics of what she was really dealing with. I'm asking more that this board start looking into how you handle some of the processes like conflict resolution protocol. And the reason I bring that up is I did go through that process, sort of. I did what I was supposed to in the process, but it did not get followed through. I then did, and this is January of 2023. June of 23, I then asked for a follow-up and asked for that to be provided as far as the conflict resolution protocol goes. And what I mean by that specifically states in there in writing, in order to determine what the resolution may or may not have been. Why does it do that? So that we're on the same page at that time. So in June, I asked why we haven't followed up on that. I was told that resolution they had thought was done, that everything was resolved. And the point of it in writing in January is so that when we got it in writing, it would be no or yes. So I could either escalate to the next step, or we believe the resolution is proper and we just move forward from there. But without doing the in writing, we end up 6 months later, still in the same spot we were before, and yet no follow-up. And so what I'm asking is that we either look at, and you may have already started to look at the conflict resolution protocol or policy as to how you're going to handle that anyway. But either there needs to be accountability upwards whenever that is submitted to whether it be the coach or the AD, just so that follow-up can find out whether administration follows down and says, hey, how did that go? Or the summary is provided to you to know it's over. But if not, we end up in limbo 6 months later. This process that we have been going on right now that has started has been since 2022, not recently. And some people may have only heard about it in the last 4 or 5 months. Process was not short. We came here new to school And I'll give a little bit of the feel good part. We didn't know where we were going to go ninth grade year. We shopped around, we looked, we vote, like we came to school for a tour. And what we received when we walked in the door was sort of what put us a little bit over the edge as to why we chose Becker. And right on the board right away, and the thing said, welcome Addison to your new school. It felt personable. It felt like somebody cared enough to make that effort, that she mattered. That was big for us. We chose to go here from there. Like to follow forward a little bit, even the next year. Another thing that happened that blew us out of our mind, our daughter was going to be in orchestra. She had took a year off. Right away into the school year, she decided not to go and play and be an orchestra. And she was going to drop the course. I received a phone call asking me and letting me know that he advised her to go meet with the orchestra teacher, make sure you're making the right decision, determine that you really do want to not take this course, or can you catch up and be an orchestra? Again, that was simply she was getting out of a course. I thought, wow, what attention given to make a reasonable decision for her academically. Then I go into this process, and what I feel is happening and what's been going on is that we don't ever get answers or a place to be able to discuss them. I did ask right away. The original start of this in January of 2022 was simply an email that said, can we have a parent meeting? This group there's a toxic environment that's happening here. We got people quitting and it seems very odd. Can we find out how we can meet together and find out what the problem is, or if there isn't a problem? I was told my only process was conflict resolution policy, which meant that I was told I will not get a meeting unless my daughter is present for the meeting. I didn't think it was appropriate for her to be there, but either way, we went through that process. From there, we got little resolution. I would say we didn't get any. Then we flash forward all the way to August of 2023, and that's when we had a meeting with superintendent. We took that as finally someone's going to listen and we can go through a process, not that this is a trial for one day and a rendered a decision to nope, we're good. We thought information provided, information looked into. And so that's the first part I would say is conflict resolution protocol needs to either be followed through, or you got to figure out a way that there's accountability. Second part of this is that mental health was of an issue that was at least alleged during the time frame in which people quit. What I'm asking for is that the school look at an internal policy of mandatory reporting for mental health. When it's alleged, I'm not saying whether it happens or it didn't, but at that point, our coaches should let our AD and our guidance counselor know. Our AD and guidance counselor should then reach out to the individual, and then we may be able to be ahead and proactive on our approach versus reactive. Because if nobody is told up the ladder, then all we are doing is in a situation waiting for something to happen versus being proactive in our approach to it. So I'm asking that you look at having an internal policy. Is that 5?
Yep.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any follow-up questions on that? All right. Thank you so much for those of you that spoke. Moving on to presentation, we have Principal Dave Kraft here with Common Ground students, I believe.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Mr. Stanger, I wore my Monty Red for you tonight. Yeah. My part is brief. I'm going to turn over to the experts here. So creating Common Ground is an opportunity we've had in our school for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm pleased to introduce Max Egbert. Max is a science teacher for us, and this is his 3rd year leading Creating Common Ground. So Max is going to kick it off, and then we're going to hear from our students.
Hi, so I'm Max Egbert. I'm a science teacher here at the high school, and I'm also a Creating Common Ground advisor and have been for 3 years. I'm just here, like Dave said, to introduce some students who'd like to share their experiences with you. We have Lamp and Claire here.
Okay, Creating Common Ground is a group of people with a passion for learning about other cultures and experiences. The group focuses on communication and understanding with various different diverse communities. It often emphasizes the importance of finding shared values and experiences to bridge differences, whether they be cultural, social, or political. The goal is to promote collaboration and reduce conflict by encouraging open communication and empathy.
The purpose of creating common ground is to foster understanding and collaboration among people or groups who may have different perspectives or backgrounds. By identifying shared values, goals, or experiences, it helps to bridge divides and reduce misunderstandings. The approach creating common ground encourages to open dialogue, empathy, and respect, ultimately leading to stronger relationships and more effective problem solving. Creating common ground can also be particularly helpful with community building, conflict resolution, and promoting social cohesion, as it allows people to work together towards mutual objectives despite their differences.
In creating common ground, we have had opportunities to hear other people's sides of the stories. We have heard about students' issues in other schools and had open conversations about how to solve them, hearing all different ideas and points. Of the things we have learned, I would highlight 5 main aspects.
Point 1, empathy. By participating in creating common ground, we develop a greater understanding of others' perspectives and experiences, which helps foster compassion and reduces bias.
Communication skills. Engaging in conversations encourages people to articulate their thoughts more clearly and listen actively, promoting effective communication.
Point 3, conflict resolution. Learning to identify shared interests can help individuals resolve disagreements more constructively, focusing on collaboration rather than confrontation.
Cultural awareness. By being a part of creating common ground, we have often gained insights into different cultures and backgrounds, leading to a broader understanding of diversity.
Point 5, problem solving. By working together, we can learn to approach challenges collaboratively, leveraging diverse viewpoints to find innovative solutions.
Overall, creating common ground helps build stronger, more inclusive communities by promoting understanding and cooperation.
In the future, we hope to learn more about other communities and different cultures. Understanding others to help bridge gaps and solve problems, we hope to gain more group members within our school to educate our community on empathy and communication.
By sharing our experiences and talking through our issues with new eyes, we can gain new perspectives and further insight into the root cause of issues and how to solve them.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or follow-up?
Good participation. Yes, good student participation.
Yeah, this year we had, like 8 or 9, I think that's right, yeah, last year it was 6 or 7, so it's steadily going up.
You already had a couple people say that they hope to join next year, so.
We've done some recruiting.
So all the pictures, you guys must travel around to different sites, different school districts and stuff, so, awesome. There you
Our
go,
last meeting is this Wednesday at St. Cloud State.
awesome. And again, thank you for coming up. It takes a lot to get up in front of a group like that and speak, so thank you so much for doing that. All right. All righty, moving on to item number 2, reports. We'll start with our student report.
Awesome. So in the past month, boys and girls track had their first meet of the season last Tuesday. They took home first place as a team. Many of their athletes started the season with promising performances. The last few weeks, the girls golf team has been getting some practice on the driving range and putting greens. Boys golf has been getting to practice outside at the golf course. Boys lacrosse has had 2 practices so far and are reviewing the basics. They also did team pictures. Robotics has competed in 2 competitions in the last 2 weeks. Between the 2, they have won the Quality Award, Excellence in Engineering Award, and they took 2nd place in 1 competition. Trap has had informational meetings and had their first practice meet. Today, they had their 2nd practice meet. Student Council is planning to do another movie on the field for Spring Fling this year. They are working with some of the younger students to get them experience with running events. Becker baseball has just started, and after 3 weeks of practice, they had their first scrimmage since last year. A scrimmage against Big Lake, which Becker won 3-2. Their first game will be April 3rd if it doesn't get rescheduled. The BAS team has begun their biweekly classroom sessions. Every other Tuesday, members attend a 2.5-hour-long session, including a meeting and classroom training, where they learn about different fishing techniques. These classroom sessions will continue on biweekly until opening fishing in May. Recently, GSA has been pretty static, but it has remained a safe and inclusive space for everyone. Recently, a large topic has been anger with the school system due to new information about hiring in classes next year. Students have been connecting with teachers and sharing their problems, becoming better friends with everyone. The girls lacrosse team just finished their first week of practice. The team has been practicing inside due to weather, but are hopeful to be outside next week. Speech has just competed in their last invitational this past Saturday, March 29th. The invitational was headed at St. Cloud Tech with 5 members qualifying for the final round. DECA has fully wrapped up their competitions. Yearbook has been preparing for April by putting templates on the pages and checking the cameras over in preparation for the upcoming sports. Members from NHS went to Hibbing High School over the weekend in support of Olivia Dirks, who ran for MAHS secretary and won. Becker softball's first game was on April 3rd, but was postponed due to weather.
I got the easier part. In the upcoming month, the track teams have their first outdoor meet this Tuesday. The girls' golf team will start playoffs soon to determine what teams they are on before meets start. The boys' golf team has an invitational in Monticello next Monday. Boys lacrosse will have an inter-squad scrimmage this week before their first game against Chisago next Tuesday. The robotics team is currently getting ready to compete at the World Tournament in Houston next week. Student Council will continue planning some new activities for Spring Fling in May. The girls lacrosse team is showing a lot of improvement and are excited for their first game next week on Tuesday against Chisago Lakes. Speech will prepare for sections, which will determine who goes to state. DECA is looking forward to getting their food truck up and running. It is a busy month for Yearbook, with all hands on deck getting pictures and designing pages for the last deadline. NHS members are completing the last individual service projects of the school year. They are also preparing for the upcoming induction. And the softball team has their first game at home tomorrow against St. Francis, followed by 2 more away games this week in North Branch and Monticello.
Do you guys have a spaghetti dinner or something coming up?
Oh, yeah. Okay. This Thursday, if you guys are bored, there's spaghetti dinner.
Or hungry.
Yeah. All the money for fundraising is very appreciated. I know we actually reached out to Hubbard Electric today. Unfortunately, our busing, we are driving back on Sunday, Easter Sunday. So we will get back about 4 p.m. on Easter. So we're planning to stop and have a team brunch. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be sponsored by Hubbard. So for that.
Where's the spaghetti dinner?
Just in the high school cafeteria. They're very gracious. They let us use the facilities. We cook in the cafeteria, serve it out. So we will donations and
That was good. It's like a yearly thing now because they go to your worlds all the time.
Yeah. Again, thank you guys.
All right, thank you, ladies. Moving on to item 2B, superintendent's report.
So MCA testing's been continuing in the schools. We've had a couple of hiccups, I guess, with Pearson and things for some of the tests. So sometimes we have tests that lock up or get kicked out and things like that, but hasn't been any internal issues. It's been all through Pearson from what I've understood. So we worked through those and staff are trained on how to deal with that as well. So staffing and strategic planning. So again, continue to look at staffing for next school year. We include in that making sure that we're meeting the needs of the strategic plan, ensuring proper licenses, and also completing evaluations of staff as required. We look at every time staff members change and move and things, we look at how can we best use each budget dollar to achieve our long-term vision for student success. Just to kind of elaborate on some of that, we have to plan way in advance because we have to make decisions by July for student numbers for next fall. Or sometimes we run into trouble with too small of class sizes. For this year example is like English 11B had 72 students enrolled in it. We have 4 teachers for that. So it's average of 16 students per class for that. Makes it really difficult to financially be able to do that multiple times and things. I also want to just kind of elaborate on a couple other changes and some postings that we have out there in the past as well. We've added things based on student registration. So we added fax positions last year, in the last couple of years, and the same with business. Again, where the registrations come in, we try to meet the needs of our students through that. The current one that you may have just seen yesterday or today, the posting for a director of technology. And so what we're doing there is eliminating one of the administrative positions, and then we're adding two teachers on special assignment positions as tech integrationists. And so that's something that we've been able to realign within our technology department to hopefully create a more seamless transition through that with summer leaving and things like that with the network administrator and things. So we've been trying to get as much feedback as we can from different groups on that as well. But a bulk of our staffing comes from student enrollment and also from student registration at the high school. Our average class size K through 8 is 23 students per in the main classrooms. That doesn't include the specialist teachers and things like that. It's not a staff to student ratio, it's just a class size ratio, a number that we have. So that's there as well. So legislative advocacy, budget targets, you can see the Senate budget plan, the House budget plan on there. Some cuts to education and things. I just want to elaborate a little bit on some of the testimony that we've been providing at the Capitol, and I'm pretty optimistic on some of it with data centers coming to Becker. I've been there with Mayor Colbinger and members from the city as well. But just talking about data centers, and we've been in front of the energy committees, we've been in front of environment as well, and so we're continuing to advocate for that, and that's to help backfill some of the losses with Sherco, which is about $5 million of our $12 million levies that we bring in. So it's a pretty big loss. We've added a lot of businesses in the industrial park, and some of those businesses have expanded as well, and so that's helped some. But this would be incredible if we were able to get some of these data centers here in Becker. And again, I'm fairly optimistic on that. We also talked about some testimony on school food service fund. Last year I testified on that to kind of open up the opportunity for using food service monies for tables and things, because it's pretty restrictive how we can spend food service money. This year we've testified and asked to open it up, and this doesn't cost the state any money, but to open it up so that we're able to improve efficiency in the lunchrooms and things like that. So because not all things can be covered from that food service fund. If we wanted to add food service staff, we don't necessarily even have room for that as far as serving lines and things like that, because it is kind of small back there. And we've added about 20% more students eating breakfast and lunch compared to years past. And that's part of it, is that universal food program. So just testifying with that, trying to get more flexibility in that. Our food service budget is pretty strong and healthy. Statewide, it's $250 million worth of fund balances and food service. So we're trying to expand that and the options that we have with that, because I think that could help some of the deficits at the state level as well. So it's a lot of money. And then continuing to push for sales tax construction exemption. I don't know, a pro or con of it is there was a new bill introduced about a week or two ago that allows for, the bill proposal is to allow for school districts to not be taxed on construction costs, materials, no matter who purchases the materials, which is what I've been asking for the last 3 years for us. So it's good that they're hearing what we're saying. The bad part is it doesn't go into effect until June 30th of this year. So we would be out on any of the materials we purchased over the last 3 years, but we're continuing to work on that and going from there. So yeah, and then I won't go over the Senate and the House proposal numbers. You can see those there, and the governor's was on there too. And then there's some dates as well. And then finally, graduation scheduled for May 30th in the evening. So just let Angel know if you're going to be able to attend. We'll try to do a better job with the weather this year, or get better umbrellas maybe, or something for everybody. But it was memorable though, right? We can't say that. And then I just want to touch on something that I didn't have on here. So that happened today. We did have a bus accident today, and so we had the police there, obviously, and the ambulance and stuff. And it happened just out of town a little ways. I was called right away from the transportation department. They reported no injuries at that time, but it sounded like there was one student who was in the ambulance. I still haven't heard back if they were transported or not. But their parents were notified, and all the parents were notified. through the K-12 app. But we don't have great success in people signing up for that. So we also notified the entire district through our Skyward email system. So hopefully everything's good with that. And I have pictures if anyone wants to see pictures in the audience or anywhere, but it's just a little ding on the bus and the car front end. It looks like both vehicles were drivable to me, and there were no liquids or anything like that on the highway. So yeah. Yep.
Thank you. All right, brings the item 2C, committee reports.
Oh, I forgot to mention the hockey. I'm gonna go one more with
Go
committee.
ahead,
It's not a
Mark.
committee, but yesterday, Becker Big Lake Hockey Association invited us to a meeting, and so some of the school board members were there. And I was there, Mr. Nemi was there as well, and Big Lake brought some school board members. The superintendent and assistant superintendent there as well. We just talked about how we can continue to support the hockey program and hockey system, and talked about the challenges that they have for as far as getting ice closer than Princeton. Talked about benefits of what hockey does for our students and how it brings us together and things, and then just ideas for how we can continue to move forward. And so we went through that process with their consultant, and I think it was a really good meeting. They've got a pretty big uphill battle, but they're really optimistic of where they are compared to where they have been in the past. And it was really good information. I think they've got another meeting or two scheduled for community members and things like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. I wanted to ask, how different are we from where we are right now to where we've been 10 years ago? Because it just seems like this is a never-ending race to get to the finish line of this project. I know a lot of people would love to see it happen, but just seems like we know where they want to put it. We drive by the sign all the time, but it was like, who would we talk to and why are they optimistic? So.
Yeah, I think they've got some more fundraising opportunities out there, so that they just had another one that they put in a pull tabs or something like that. So they've got more opportunities for revenue generation, but it's not enough to save up the $10-12 million that they want or need for this facility. Their biggest asset is probably their biggest downfall. I mean, this is my opinion, but having City of Becker, City of Big Lake, School District of Becker, School District of Big Lake, and this association, we're all working toward the same goal, but it eliminates the opportunity for one of those groups to take ownership. Because if you go to other schools and communities, and you ask any neighboring school with or community with an ice sheet, one of them took ownership on it because they were the one, whether it was the city or mostly the city, I would say, but sometimes the school district. We have all these extra hands in there, which is great to mobilize, but it's also, everyone wants to say, well, they can maybe take it, or they can take it, or, not one of those entities can really generate enough revenue to purchase that, I would say. And obviously schools have the voting issue where we would have to go to a vote for that, and makes it really difficult. But they've got more money in their bank accounts now, but they're also a nonprofit, so they can only have so much in there. There's a lot of different wheels spinning.
The next step is private donors is where.
Right, well, I kind of figured that was gonna be the only saving grace to this project.
Yep.
That ever come to fruition is somebody's gonna have to step up. And we need our own local Ralph Engelstead.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
And we needed them 5, 7, 8 years ago when it was half the cost.
Right. We'll just start with Ryan. We'll just work on the table.
Yep, so on March 17th, the Community Education Advisory Council met. Jen's super organized, and it's kind of fun to see. She's not only she had minutes that she so I could print them. We just talked a lot about the next steps, trying to name individuals that we'd like to add to the advisory council. And then just reviewed costs and proposals moving forward to help balance her budget. So she's got some really good plans. She's already got fee increases that are going to go into effect June 1st, and then again the following June 1st. Raising BYA fees to match the city, just different things, not any huge steps that are gonna be huge costs, but will slowly help to get her budget back to where it needs to be. And she's working really hard, and Kevin even commented that she comes and sees him quite often because she's determined
To learn.
Yep, she's
Learn.
determined to get this heading in the right direction. So it's kind of fun to see somebody super energetic and just wanting to work.
Yep, on March 18th, the track committee met. It was a shorter meeting, but the final design for our theme, creating a better community, was done, and some artwork is done. That's going to go through. Chantel Boyer, principal at the middle school, is also working with the artist to kind of make those finishing touches. Hopefully by May, we'll have a rendering and we can start sharing that out through the community. It's kind of exciting. And then also, congratulations, but also a little bit, we got to find a replacement with assistant principal Balloon retiring. He was the chair of the track committee, so we're looking for a new chairperson for that committee as well. And the next meeting is May 20th. Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve consent agenda listed in force. Any questions or discussions on that? All those in favor, of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, resolution of accepting donations. I have a motion on that.
I'll make a motion, we accept the donations as listed.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to accept donations. Do we have any questions or comments on that?
Nice list. Thank you. community.
Thank you, everybody.
Much so.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, school board renewal for operating levy authority. So I will entertain a motion on that.
I think I would just like to, make a motion to open this up for a discussion.
I can second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion to open it for discussion. So Pete, you wanna?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up, again, and this has been something that's been briefly mentioned here, during the school board meetings. But in a nutshell, what this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, is the state has granted school boards, in this case, our board, the authority to renew a levy that was passed back in 2015. It was a 10-year levy. And they've given us the opportunity to bypass the election process and actually extend that another 10 years. It's also given us the option to, again, return it to the people and the voters to actually have their voices heard in how those funds are spent. So I don't know if the public really knows about that, but I just figured it'd be a good idea maybe for us to maybe discuss, where people might stand or if they have questions on it, because in my opinion, it is a pretty critical decision, and where we're in a position where we can actually make a 10-year decision for the taxpayers and the voters here on this levy. So those are just my initial thoughts on it.
Question, Jeremy, what are the rules around this as far as the extension? Is it merely an extension of the same levy? Can it be increased? You want to just touch base on that so people understand?
Yeah, and Kevin can maybe fill me into, just real quick, I just got an email that said, make sure your mics are on when you're chatting too. I don't think they can hear us online, so thank you for that message. So this operating levy can be renewed at up to the same length of time and the same amount. And so it can't be increased any more than it is. We can't just throw on whatever we want for that. It has to be the same amount. This one happens to have inflation tied to it, so that would stay the same as well, with the inflationary increase on it. I don't know if you have other questions, but that answers that one.
That was the main question. Thank you.
And what is the percentage of these levies that pass? Like when there's no increase? Fairly high,
it's
correct? My understanding?
When you'd actually go for a vote.
If we had to go for a vote, yeah.
In the past. Yeah, they have been. They're usually probably between 70 to 75%.
And that's why the state's allowing that, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that was a big part of the argument, is because of the high pass.
Because of, and the cost, right? So to do this election in a non-election year is even more expensive.
It's all our cost.
Yeah, so our cost to have this election, it's most likely gonna pass. I mean, I think it's being responsible with the district's money in that sense. But I mean, I do understand that we're asking, it's not a tax increase, but we're asking people to pay this without their voice. Maybe it's something that we, see if people have questions about and vote on it next month.
It's in my opinion, it's a tough sell for me because it's such a long period of time, right?
Yep.
I mean, when they voted back in 2015, it was for 10 years. So a lot of times, you know, people in the community, they look forward to an opportunity to be able to have their voices heard again when that comes up. A lot of times, as we know, you know, the taxpayers or, you know, parents or what, that's the only time they actually get to execute their voice is during these elections and times to bring stuff up. So yeah, it's hard for me to, you know, potentially take that opportunity away from me. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand there's risks involved in doing that. But, you know, at the same time, I don't think that risk, whether it be the cost of the election or whatever, should, you know, really outweigh the importance of letting the community have a say in where their money is gonna go for the next 10 years.
I think one of the reasonings the legislature, when they passed this, the school districts felt like they were at a disadvantage a lot of times with the other governmental units, cities, townships, and counties. Because the schools were at the disadvantage because we did have to go out for votes all the time. Where the cities, counties, and townships, their councils, or I don't know what the townships are called, but town boards didn't have to do that. If they wanted to build a new city hall, city council can do that. They don't have to even go out for a
Right.
building vote. They can just do that as a elected members. So I think that's where why the school districts lobbied for this to be passed. And that's why I think they said, well, not an increase. They didn't want, you know, they didn't want to give you guys the authority to say, oh, yeah, you guys can levy for whatever you want. I guess they didn't trust you that much either, but they at least, said,
Probably smart.
you know, they at least said, no, you know, the renewal of an existing, it kind of put you more on a same level field as the counties and the cities and the townships.
Right.
That was kind of where, when this law was being discussed and talked about at legislature, that's what I heard.
But I totally understand the convenience of it. I mean, it does make it easier for us, but at the same time, you know, you're weighing, you know, being a voice for the community versus allowing them the opportunity to decide what they do with their money.
Yeah.
So that's the tough part on my.
But I think that's where
Yeah.
they said, and don't get me wrong, but that's where the legislature was saying, well, the people elected you to be their representative. I mean, I'm
That's what I
sorry.
was gonna say, that I have
Oh,
to
is that what
push
you're-
back.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's what we've been elected to do. And if they don't like that, they don't elect us again.
True. I mean, there is
I
that
mean,
argument.
Because if we need to raise that operating levy, we're going to have an election for that. So to continue it the way it is, I think is very appropriate for the board to make that decision. I think that is what we're elected to do.
But I think it's tough there too, because to Kevin's point, you know, you're right, there's entities that just make those decisions and go for it. This, however, it's a unique scenario where we're given the choice, right? To, you know, to just make the decision for.
Well,
our
every entity
constituents.
has that choice, they just don't
Yes.
ever use it. The
Right,
county could ask us to vote,
Sure.
they just never did.
well, but they
Yeah.
have the
The
all.
city could have asked us to vote on the addition over there, they just didn't. So.
And
the
like I
counties have a
said,
choice.
If the
Sorry.
public doesn't like that, they don't need to elect us again.
I think, so what does this levy cost? What do we get per year for this, Kevin?
For this portion, it's like $1.2 million.
Okay.
$1.2 million.
So, and then you've been doing this a long time, Jeremy, how many times have districts gone for a referendum and renewed status quo and not asked for more money?
Maybe 50% of the time at least.
It may be a second question too. It might
Yeah.
might not be a single.
I mean, normally you do have to go for more just because the state has underfunded school districts over the 25 years that I've been doing this. They haven't kept up with the inflationary rates. So usually there is an increase or there's a second question. And a lot of times the first question will be, and the legislature saw this too. They always saw that the first question was always renewed at where it's at. And then the second question was always, okay, but there's an addition. And then there sometimes was even a third question or, okay, we want to do this or something else with it. But
but usually that first question was to renew at what you're currently expiring. And then the second question would have been an increase.
And I think it's pretty reasonable for the ask to maintain, like if you had to talk to somebody in the community and say, well, let's do this. Well, it's not like we've got a huge budget surplus. It's not like we're wasting the money. We're not making any changes. Like, if somebody came and asked me and questioned me about it, like, we could give them more facts, but you can have that conversation. And I think most reasonable people are just gonna understand that we're not asking for more, we just are trying to maintain. And we're actually saving money by not holding it.
Yeah, I think for me, it gets down to the whole representative republic concept is. It's somewhat easier to turn it over to a vote. Because then you're not having to take the responsibility of being an elected official. And representing your constituents. I think in this case, since we're not doing an increase. It's kind of where I'm at on it is, we were elected to. Try and run the school district in the most efficient and effective way possible. And. This doesn't seem like an out of line ask. Or an operating levy that's just a continuation of what it's been for the past 10 years. I think that's where I come down. So I definitely understand your argument though, Pete. I think it's legitimate, but. I think we were elected to make these types of decisions.
Well, to piggyback, I think, looking at it, like our consultant that came and talked to us last time, out of the 18 schools or so that have that ability to have the school board vote, all 18 of them took it. And just went with the.
I think it was
continuation.
29.
What's it now?
I think it was 29.
29 was allowed. So it's kind of like, initially I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, but then it's like, okay, this is a common theme throughout our state that is happening. And kind of like you said, put it back on us and see where we lie with it.
So where do we go from here? Pete, you want input?
What's that?
You want to gather input?
I would possibly make a motion to.
Possibly, or you are gonna make?
Well, I'd like to make a motion to table this for at least another month to continue dialogue about it. And only because this is the first time we've really had an in-depth conversation about it in the public eye, really. So.
So I have a motion to table it for a month, so you're saying the May meeting, bring it back?
Yes.
I need a second.
I can second. I vote.
Okay, any questions or discussions?
What's the timing that we need to have this decided? I can't remember.
Yeah, June or July. Yeah, we have,
That was June.
We're
Is it
not
June?
having any adverse effects if we wait till May.
no, there should be
Right,
none.
yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I would just say this is the third meeting we've talked about it, so
Yeah.
it's not like it's not been discussed in the public. This is the third meeting. We had a workshop on it last month, but it never hurts to leave it open and
What
gather
else
more
are-
input, but
What else are we going to discuss about it? I mean, what other things are gonna happen between now and May is my question.
Well,
we'll find out.
you can have public input. At next meeting.
Right.
Before you would vote on it, you can do like a.
I mean, if it's.
Just a-
I like the truth
Truth and taxation.
I think that was part of the actual statute, if I read it
Yeah.
right, that you could bring, that part of that situation where we'd have that ability was to make it known so people could have
Yeah.
a public, have a public stance on it, which I know that, I don't know if we.
We would have to do
Really?
that tonight if we were gonna approve it. Yeah. Tonight, we would have, if anyone from the
Right.
public.
So,
So I got a motion to table it until the May meeting. We got a second. Any further questions or discussions? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All opposed,
Nay.
motion carries. Moves on to item number 6, review of policies. Policy 413 and 512 and 704. As shown there before you. Jeremy, you want to speak to these, or Connie, one of you two?
Sure, I can. And just going back to number 5 real quick, if you do have any questions or anything like that, please get a hold of Kevin or myself, public as well, on that, and we can try to answer those, or at least get the answer for you. So for the policies, 413 just updates the definition of disability, and that just matches Minnesota law. 512, there's some different statutes with 121A.80 that impact student journalism and student expression. It opens up more opportunities for student journalism and student expression, First Amendment rights and things like that. That's tied to that. And then the GASB one, guidance on asset capitalization, just kind of changes the wording, and it keeps the amount at $5,000 in there, and then the $25,000 number as well is new in that section. And Kevin and I talked about that, but you want to make sure that's in there, and that matches with the statute, or maybe it's, I don't know if that's a statute or regulation or rule, but
It's a GASB, a governmental accounting standard.
rule, yeah.
They
standard.
change. You buy little things, but in a big group, you gotta capitalize them now.
So I have a motion to accept the policy review.
I'll make a motion to accept the policies presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Brings us to item number 7, second reading. Policy 103, complaints, student, employees, parents, and other persons. Jeremy, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I talked about this last month, but just a new form to make sure we're getting down to the bottom of a complaint. Ask for information. We still have to honor any complaints, whether they're written or not, as per policy 103. But this hopefully helps us clarify what's really being asked of us to investigate. And I didn't hear any feedback on that, so I recommend approval on this one.
All right. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as written.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussions? All those in favor of approval of policy 103 as written, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Brings to item number 8. At this time, we will be going into closed session to discuss negotiations pursuant to sections 179A.01 to 179A.25.
I want to just talk about that. I don't know if we want to do that tonight or not. This is when it typically comes up on my calendar, I guess. We've been asked for 284 multi-unit and transportation to negotiate. I just think there's a lot of still up in the air as Kevin's doing the budget, and there's some language things that are at the Capitol. I don't know if we want to wait until next month as well on this. Just so we have more information and kind of a better outlook on it. There's a lot out there with, even now with the federal government kind of coming into play with some of this stuff too, so I would recommend we hold off on that, even though it's just on my calendar, so it comes up on this one every year, just like my update. If you guys were, Connie, you're okay with that?
I will look for a motion to move closed discussion.
I'll
for
make
next
a motion, I'll make a motion to move. Yes.
I'll second.
discussion.
Okay, we have a motion to move the closed session meeting for April until May. We have a seconded. Any further questions or discussion? So, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Brings us to item number 9. This meeting is adjourned